What's up, everyone? Welcome to week 2 of the GWA. This week, my opponent is Hynax. I'm doing a post commentary this time around. Next week and the weeks after, I'm hoping to do live commentary as long as everything works out the way that I'm hoping. It'll make it easier for me later on. So, in this matchup, I noticed that my opponent's team was mostly special attackers. So I did bring a fully SPDEF Assault Vest, Slowking, and Hisuian Avalugg. And the main thing that I was worried about on his team was he does have Hisuian Zoroark, and I was very worried about what it can do, just disguising as another Pokemon in general. So when I didn't see that in his team preview, I was pretty relieved, so I don't have to worry about clicking the wrong move into the wrong Pokemon or anything like that. Possibly clicking like a close combat or a body press into Hisuian Zoroark. So I decide to lead off with White Ice, my Hisuian Avalugg, just because turn 1, as long as it's not against Jolteon, I can just turn around and Terra immediately. So that's kind of the plan that I have going into this. I EV'd my Avalugg to live most super effective attacks. I think the only thing it can't really live is the stab from Jolteon. So Chien-Pao comes out here, which is the absolute perfect lead. The best move he can click here is Crunch, which will do about 30% after I've Terra'd. But I am expecting him to either switch or go for the Sacred Sword here. So I decided to Terra and click Body Press just because it's the most free move. If he switches in an Enamorus, I take a hit from an Enamorus, and then I can KO it back with Ice Fang. So I decided to go for Body Press here. Worst case scenario, he swaps out to his Enamorus. Best case scenario, he stays in here, and I actually get Chien-Pao. And so he decides not to switch out. So I just get a free knockout on Chien-Pao here, unless it is sashed. Then otherwise, instead of getting a free knockout, I'll just take it down to 1 HP, because this always kills, even with defense investment on the Chien-Pao. And there we can see that it is Focus Sash, because it'll live. So the next turn, again, there's no point in clicking Body Slam or Body Press, because he has so much that does resist it. So I kind of can just press Ice Fang for free here, and if he does choose to switch into an Enamorus, it catches the Enamorus switch and will OHKO it. So Ice Fang's just kind of free, and because of Strong Jaw, it is my highest damaging move that I can possibly use. So yeah, while we're waiting for the opponent to make his decision, apologies about no voiceover last week. I found myself really busy with work and all that kind of stuff and preparing for the following week's battle. So I just kind of uploaded the raw footage up to YouTube. Hopefully that wasn't too big of a deal to everyone. And then right here, we do see that he does switch, and he does switch in the Enamorus, which 4-time resists my Body Press. So I just click Ice Fang here, and I do get a critical hit. I did calc it. The crit doesn't matter unless it is a very heavily defensive Enamorus. It always OHKOs unless I think there's 200 EVs in Enamorus' defense. So I think more than likely it didn't matter. I don't know the spread on it, but more than likely that crit just didn't matter. So he sends out Jolteon here, and I sit here and I think, okay, well, what do I want? What do I think can take a Thunderbolt from a Specs Jolteon? Because I'm assuming that it's Specs. I sit here and I'm kind of running calcs, and nothing that I have really wants to take that. I didn't want to risk switching in my Great Tusk, because if he read it and predicted with a Terra Flying or Terra Ice, Terra Blast, it's 100% always going to OHKO my Great Tusk there. So I'm kind of expecting Thunderbolt here. There's nothing that I really want to take the Thunderbolt. and I was too scared to switch into Tusk. So I kind of just click Ice Fang here to deal damage if for some reason he doesn't click Thunderbolt. But he doesn't Terra, clicks Thunderbolt, gets the knockout on my White Ice. So that's 1 down for each of us. So here I decide to send in my Great Tusk because Great Tusk will always OHKO the Jolteon no matter what Terra it chooses as long as I predict the proper Terra. So for White Ice, the whole reason why I didn't click Earthquake is because in case it Terra Flying'd, I wanted to be able to get a hit on it in case he did, for some reason, in case he did predict my Great Tusk to come in and Terra Blasted my Avalugg. So here I completely forget about Terra Flying immediately after compensating for Terra Flying with the last pick that I chose. And I choose Headlong Rush, and the moment I see him Terastallize, I know it's Terra Flying, and I know I messed up, and I should have clicked Ice Spinner. Because I do believe Ice Spinner always kills at this range. So Ice Spinner was 100% the play to click there. Even if he did go Terra Ice, I still get chip damage on it. Although Jolteon's pretty frail, and chip doesn't really make that much of a difference down the line with most of my Pokemon that are going to be hitting it. So I, for the second week in a row, make a dumb play and throw my Great Tusk away. I swear one of these weeks Great Tusk will be able to finally have its time to shine. And Great Tusk actually looked really good into this matchup because I had it booster energy speed. So it outsped everything on his team without Scarf or speed boost. So it was actually in a really good position to do a lot of damage, but I just played with it wrong. But so I go to my Scarf Chi-Yu here, which outspeeds everything on his team without Scarf itself, and just decide to click Flamethrower because Flamethrower does, I think, 90%, and after 2 Life Orbs, he's down 20% HP. So this should always OHKO, and it hits anything else that he might want to send in pretty hard. So it kind of forces him to sack his Jolteon there. Just because, like, if he were to switch out, I get chip on something else, and then I just pivot off of Chi-Yu if it's not going to 2-hit KO with Flamethrower. So here, I'm in a pretty good position. I'm locked in a Flamethrower. So, yeah, depending on what he decides to send out, he does go with his Chien-Pao. I'm assuming he's sending it out. In my mind, I think, okay, he's just going to try and get chip. He's going to press Sucker Punch or Ice Shard and try and get some chip. So, I'm kind of running calcs to see how much that chip's going to do. And in all honesty, knowing its item and even running it as Adamant with all of its prio moves that it gets, there wasn't really anything that I was too concerned about. The chip, I don't think would have mattered too much, because it was like Ice Shards, like I think was like 20% chip, and Sucker Punch might have been around 30. So really, either of them didn't matter. So I just decided to go with the old faithful click Flamethrower. And to my surprise, he actually doesn't even use a prio move here. He must not have thought that my Chi-Yu was choice scarfed, considering that I'm assuming he probably clicked Sacred Sword thinking that he would outspeed me or get free chip on something else, but he must not have just realized that the Chi-Yu was choice scarfed itself. So again, Chi-Yu getting another 2 knockouts this week after I think last week he got 4. An insane amount of knockouts. This Pokemon is definitely not okay. It's way too strong. I don't know if there's ever going to be a week where I don't bring it. So here he decides to go out to Volcanion, which is really good into Chi-Yu. I have nothing that can OHKO this, especially being locked into Flamethrower. So I am 100% going to switch out here. Usually when you see me not doing anything and I'm kind of just sitting there, I'm running calcs on the side, just trying to figure out, okay, worst case scenario, like, what can this Volcanion hit me with on, like, let's say Slowking? Because Slowking was the switch that I brought for Volcanion, because it can take Steam Eruption, it can take Earth Power, it can take Flamethrower, and Volcanion doesn't get Thunderbolt or Grass Knot, so the worst it can really hit me with is, like, Sludge Bomb. And get a Poison off on me. But, so I just go out to him here, he clicks Earth Power, Slowking takes that like a champ. So, from this point, he has no Dark Pokemon on his team at all. So, Future Sight is a super free click. If he decides to stay in, that's totally fine with me. Slowking's going to take everything he wants to throw at me. If he decides to switch, then I just get a free Future Sight without having to take any chip from anything else. So Future Sight, yeah, is pretty free here. So he does decide to switch his Volcanion out, and he goes out to his Dragalge. Now, Dragalge was one Pokemon I was actually not expecting this week. But my Slowking is actually well equipped to deal with it, especially with the Future Sight. So I'm kind of looking at Dragalge. I'm like, okay, does Dragalge get Dark Pulse? That's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking if Dragalge gets Dark Pulse here. Because I was like, oh man, this thing's definitely going to click Dark Pulse on me and do a decent amount of damage. I see that doesn't get Dark Pulse, so I'm like, okay, maybe it gets Grass Knot. Look for Grass Knot, and I don't see Grass Knot. I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what this thing gets that's going to hit me. So I just click Ice Beam for free here. And lo and behold, it gets Thunderbolt. I didn't even think about Thunderbolt, but it doesn't even do half to me. It doesn't even take me below half, so still good. At this point, I could stay in, click Ice Beam again. That was Specs damage, so he is locked into the Thunderbolt. And at this point, I don't really want to take more damage on my Slowking because I want to preserve him as much as possible for later. Although he does have the Regenerator ability, if I switch him out now, I will be almost full HP the next time he switches in. So, I do decide to switch out. I switch into Pale Snake, which is a fully Spadef Orthworm. To take the Thunderbolt, because at this point Orthworm was kind of my answer to Enamorus. I was another thing to take care of Enamorus. I wanted to catch it off guard with an Oka Berry if it did carry Mystical Fire and wasn't Superpower, to be able to live Mystical Fire and then kill it with Heavy Slam. But as you saw, the Future Sight takes out Dragalge there, and the next switch, I mean, I think after this he brings up Volcanion again. I just kind of stay in with my Orthworm because it doesn't really have a purpose anymore. With him being down, I think at this point he's down 4 Pokemon, so he's got Volcanion and his Galarian Slowbro left. So hazards really aren't that important, I don't think, at this point in the game. And Heavy Slam and Body Press aren't really going to hit Volcanion or Glowking for any damage at all. So at this point, I'm cool with just staying in, clicking Body Press, and getting as much chip off as possible. But I don't know. Later on in the game, I kind of forget about some stuff. And I find myself calcing against the wrong Pokemon, and it kind of comes back to bite me. But we'll get to that later. So here, I'm just debating, okay, do I want to put up hazards or do I want to press Body Press? And I'm kind of thinking he's only got 2 Pokemon left. I could probably just press Body Press and just start getting chip off on this thing. The only reason to get up Stealth Rocks or Spikes would be for the Regenerator Glowking, if that's what he brought. Just because if it's switching in and out, at least I can get some chip on Volcanion. And once Volcanion's gone, then it can't switch anymore. So, but I do decide to go with the Body Press just because my opponent really hasn't swapped that much this game. So I don't really expect a whole bunch of swapping back and forth between Slowking and Volcanion. especially since he will be taking free hits on them. And I do still have Chi-Yu in the back. So I just click Body Press. He does end up using Earth Power, probably expecting the switch. It would have hit at anything that would have come in except for my Pale Snake. So I just kind of get a free hit there, and it guarantees that I live another turn. Because I think I wasn't, even after Oka Berry, I think I was in Flamethrower range with the HP that I was at beforehand. Because I think I was below half or close to half. So here he does click Flamethrower, and Orthworm takes it. Yeah, it would have killed me before. I do unfortunately get burned, so I'm not going to get as much chip off as I was initially hoping to. But, I mean, chip is chip. I'll take anything that I can get at this point. I got the crit earlier. He gets the burn now. I don't think either the burn nor the crit really does matter in the grander scheme of things, but I mean, now we're even 1 for 1. So he does take out my Pale Snake there. I wasn't really too worried about playing for differential because I didn't want to do anything dumb and maybe throw this away. So knowing that this Volcanion can't do anything to me, well, actually first I am calcing to see if my Fisherman Greninja can knock out this can Oko this Volcanion, because it is a physical Greninja, and I did bring Rock Tomb on it. Just because Rock Tomb's more accurate than the Rock Slide, and it lowers speed, so Greninja will always guaranteed outspeed everything afterwards with hitting him with that Rock Tomb. So he does decide to swap out. He swaps out into his Glowbro here. I never noticed that Glowbro is actually shorter than Slowking. But, so here I do click Future Sight, and for some reason I wasn't thinking Psychic resisted Psychic, so I'm like, oh man, this is going to do a huge chunk of damage. This is going to be really good. In hindsight, Flamethrower was the play here. I think I should have clicked Flamethrower and fished for a burn. But I do end up going with Power Gem just in case he decides to switch into Volcanion. I do want to catch the Volcanion switch if at all possible, because like I was saying earlier, once I get rid of Volcanion, Slowking cannot swap out for a Regenerator anymore. So I do decide to click just to kind of spam Power Gem and keep Future Sight up here. But like I said, in hindsight, I should have been fishing for the burn with the Flamethrower just to get more chip on him. Because this Glow King is bulky. He does click Sludge Bomb here, and he does get the poison right off the bat, which was the one thing I was hoping wouldn't happen, but it did happen. So now I have to play a little more cautiously with my own Slowking. It won't be able to stay on the field as long, and I'm gonna have to switch out more frequently to get my regenerator procs to go off. So, and now here, this is a really smart move. He actually decides to put Toxic Spikes, which will, I mean, at this point, he's kind of playing for stall with his Glow King. He's got the Black Sludge, the Toxic Spikes. So he is going to be getting chip damage on everything, and I do believe it is this turn he does reveal that he is also Slack Off. So with that Slack Off, he gets even more health regeneration, which just, yeah, I mean, this is a hard wall to break through. And honestly, this whole time that I'm fighting Glow King, I'm calcing all of my moves against regular Slowking, against my Slowking. So I'm calcing Greninja, and I'm like, oh man, U-turn does about 70 to 80% percent damage to it. This is the play. I just swap out to Fisherman, and I click U-turn and kill this thing, and then I just go right out to Slowking again. Yeah, turns out it doesn't work that way because I am calcing against the wrong Slowking. Poison, resist bug, and Psychic's weak, so it makes it neutral. So I do click U-turn here, and I was flabbergasted when the damage actually comes through and does absolutely nothing. I was blown away. I was super confused. I'm like, why did this not do anything? What is going on here? And then I look over at my damage calcs, and I just notice I'm calcing against normal Slowking. And I was like, wow, I'm an idiot. No wonder. But I don't notice it yet. Like, I'm pretty sure I go back out to my own Slowking here, and I'm like, why did that not do anything? I go back out to Slowking after running some calcs in the background, completely ignorant to the fact that I could just send Chi-Yu out, quick Dark Pulse, and kill this thing. Dark Pulse does 70, even non-assault vest, full spadef, Glowbro. I think I've been saying Glowbro this whole time. Glow King takes about 80% from Dark Pulse from Chi-Yu. So Chi-Yu is literally just the send in here. I am literally swapping between Slowking and Greninja for no reason, doing all this back and forth. I mean, I guess I am getting HP back on my Slowking, but other than that, like, I'm kind of just shooting myself in the foot here with all this damage I'm taking. So I do decide to click Future Sight again, and I believe this is the turn where I realize I'm calcing against the wrong Slowking. And once I make that realization, I'm just like, oh, okay, I know what I have to do now. So I set up the Future Sight. My Slowking's slow. I'm like, you know what? Let's go back out to Greninja. So that way my Slowking can heal, and Greninja will take a little bit more damage from the poison itself. Because at this point, Greninja, he doesn't really do much against their team except for the Volcanion. So I know for sure he can take a Sludge Bomb if that's what he decides to go for here. So I'm not too worried about Sludge Bomb. He does use Toxic Spikes again. I'm not too sure why he used Toxic Spikes there, but he did. I don't know. Maybe it was a misclick. But so I just decided to click U-turn here. And I'm going to U-turn out, send in my Chi-Yu, because I know Chi-Yu takes a Sludge Bomb, no problem. And then I click Dark Pulse. And Dark Pulse should finish it, because I do believe after this swap, it takes the Future Sight. Because I used Future Sight, I swapped U-turn. Yeah, it should take Future Sight right here. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that. Wait, how much does it take from this? I never realized that. Yeah, I proc Beads of Ruin. So I wonder if that makes the Slowking take more from my Future Sight since it had lower special defense at the time. That's some tech. Wow. Anyway, so we click Dark Pulse here. This is a guaranteed KO on it. So now he is forced to go out to his Volcanion. At this point, I don't see the need to keep Chi-Yu around at all. So I just decided to go Dark Pulse again, get as much damage off of this Volcanion as I can, and then finish it off with either Slowking or Greninja in the back. I kind of figured he'd use the Steam Eruption. I could have predicted it and swapped up to Slowking to try and play for differential some more. But again, I kind of just wanted to play it safe and didn't want to throw, just because of the complete throw I almost just did, as we saw before with the Greninja Slowking and calking against the wrong Slowking. So I just sacked the Chi-Yu. RIP Chi-Yu, that's your first feint of the draft. I think you're like 5-1. So I go out to Greninja here. No, you're 6-1. I go out to Greninja here. I just click Rock Tomb, and that finishes it off. So good game to my opponent. It was a well-fought battle. I think those first couple turns were just heavily in my favor, and it kind of set the tone for the rest of the battle. So next week I play Wolf Haley. His team's looking like a tough matchup for me, so look forward to that. Hopefully we can get another win, start off our season to 3-0. That would be amazing. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week.